2018 will be the 5th year of an economic downturn that we've been in, due primarily to low commodity prices. And I think that the thing that we have to remember is that as you build on years of negative profitability, you start having to borrow more in order to get the seed in the ground for the next year. And so as those debt levels start to increase and you have negative cash flow, you can't pay back the loans, and that becomes problematic with your banker. Risk management is the key here, is trying to mitigate some of that downside risk on both the price and the yield side. So what was different with the 2014 Farm Bill was that instead of telling producers, here's your program, this is how it's going to work, they said, here you have the choice between 3 different programs, you pick the one that you think best suits you. The challenge for producers in that decision was that whichever one they picked, they were stuck with that one for the next 5 years, for the 5 full years of the legislation. And now with hindsight, I think producers can look back and they can say, well, either that was a good decision or it was a poor decision, but it was pretty up in the air at the time that I made the decision as to which one was the right way to go. Instead of making the decision for the farmers, we'll put it back on them. We'll let them make the decision, and having that power will be a good thing for them. It'll give them, but it really just shifted the burden of making a decision based on so much uncertainty back to all of the producers. And we had some interesting outcomes as a result of those decisions. Some counties would get payments and the neighboring county would not. And so farmers that were in the same program and right across the county line might see their neighbors getting paid and they didn't. So there's some fixes that they're going to have to look at in the 2018 Farm Bill that will sort of smooth out some of those inconsistencies, I would say, with the program. It's part of the strength of the country to be able to depend on a domestic food source and not depend solely on imported foods. So we always want to have a good, strong domestic food production base. The other thing that I think we need to keep in mind is that the livelihood of a lot of businesses in those small towns depend on how good it is for the farmers. They're service providers, they're input providers, and so if the farmers aren't doing well, then those small town businesses aren't doing well, and it can really adversely affect things in terms of the ability of those small towns to keep things going and to continue to be vibrant.